Sasha Martinengo.
Storming down the pit lane.
Weekdays from 12 to 2 p.m. Central African Time on balls.co.za.
Motoring. And joining us from the AA this afternoon on Gears Balls Visual Radio, it is always a great pleasure. And I haven't spoken for a very long time. Gary Ronald, how are you doing, Gary?
Great, thanks, Sasha. Awesome.
Terrific. Well, listen, I mean, I got to tell you, just by the way, the AA, of course, is the Automobile Association, not the other one.
Not the other one.
Not the other one, although I must tell you that I was in Delstrom over the weekend and I might have needed the other one. But fortunately, we weren't driving, which is a main thing. Gary, you know, I got to tell you, I've been a member, I think this year is my 25th year as a member of the AA.
Yeah. It's the best investment you're going to make, especially when you need us.
Well, this is it. But I mean, it's amazing how things have... You know what, before we start talking about driving, school holidays, drinking and driving and those things, I want to just ask how the AA has maintained to be so successful and still so prominent when you look at nowadays, you get people who buy cars, Gary, and it's got 5-year this and that and roadside warranties, etc., etc. You guys have really had to change your model a bit.
We have a little bit, but you know what? It's still the old case that if you look at the average age of our car park is about 12 to 13 years.
Yeah.
So it's not just reliant on new vehicles. Also, we've quite successfully moved into the corporate space or the commercial space, where we offer the roadside assistance on a lot of new cars as well. So that comes as part of the package when you buy the car. So quite a few OEMs subscribe to us. And then, of course, there's the business is not just about roadside assistance. I mean, we do a lot more in terms of the advocacy, talking around issues of law, and also basically fighting on issues on behalf of the general motoring public out there. I mean, the tolling issue is probably the best example of that we have in sort of recent times.
Yeah, I mean, you guys have been staunch advocates, I suppose, for the consumer against the tolling. You know, which is and it's, you know, what is very, I think, encouraging from a person, you know, like myself, who's just a normal consumer of goods, is the amount of times that the AA are approached for their advice regarding these kind of serious issues.
Correct. I mean, we are recognised by government and the opposition as an independent voice of the motorist. And I think that is very, very important to stress. We don't necessarily take a side, and I think we can also step back from an issue and look at it from all angles. So a bit of consumerism is key to keeping us relative every day. And of course, you know, talking to your radio station, getting the information out there that's needed. You know, it's always good to be a source of info, and that it's reliable information.
Yeah, there we go. And some, you know what, in today's life, Gary, you know, you really have to trust people. There's not many that people are trusting nowadays. And I got to say, at least I know when the AA speaks, I do actually trust them. So that's quite raw. You guys must be pretty, well, I suppose, just as any road user, very excited about this massive petrol price and diesel price decrease that came through this morning.
It was just such a pleasure filling up this morning and seeing it was under 11 rand a litre. It was great.
Yeah, it does. I've got Kate in the studio here, and she needs a lot of consumer help, Gary, because she was one of those who said, no, I won't fill up, I'll wait until Wednesday morning. And then what happened? She ran out of petrol.
That was not even it. I didn't even know the petrol was going down this morning, except I didn't have my card with me, and my petrol tank was empty.
And if you were a member of the AA, they would have sorted.
I am though.
But why didn't you phone them? Because you forgot. Yeah. Anyway, moving along swiftly. Gary, AA is doing so much. When it comes to, it's something very, very close to my heart, and I think to most South Africans, and a very troubling statistic year in and year out, especially over holiday seasons, and that is the death toll and numbers on our roads. I mean, is there anything, you know, I try and do as much as I can from this side, but is there any more that I can do to try and assist the AA going forward?
Yeah, you know what? There's so much we can do. But I think for me, I think the most important thing is to try and actually change drivers' attitudes on the roads. You know, and it goes from a simple thing like talking on a cell phone, except if you're in Cape Town, you don't want to do it.
Yes, not after the papers came out with that fine.
You know, but to basically getting a dedicated driver if you're going out on a party, or not driving if you've had a couple of drinks, to basically just having good manners on the road. You know, I mean, letting people in when there's a bit of a bottleneck somewhere. You know, that I think the things that actually really annoy most of us is people who actually push in or go past on the hard shoulder, blowing dust all over your car. And the thing is, they don't get caught. So you can do that.
Yeah.
But the point is, it just aggravates everybody, and then an aggravated driver becomes a dangerous driver.
Well, exactly. The other day, I mean, just to let you know, I was talking on air about the taxis, and you know, I gave people a lot of food for thought, as opposed to just being annoyed with taxis all of the time. You know, you've got to take into consideration what their role is. And yes, we don't like people driving on the left-hand lane, on the hard shoulder, etc., but we all need to have a little bit more tolerance, and we all need to become more respectful of the actual law.
Quite correct. And the reason why I say that, well, you and I are actually agreeing on this thing is simply because there is no consequence. The chances of actually getting caught is very, very small. So it is up to us to kind of reestablish the sort of moral high ground when it comes to traffic safety, and say, look, it's expected of you to behave this way when you are actually on a road, because if you don't, somebody's going to die potentially, or going to bleed. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
If we don't behave ourselves, follow the rules. The rules are there for a purpose, to keep everybody safe. We might not all agree with them. I mean, if you're going through the Karoo, for example, you would like to travel at 160 kilometers an hour or more, but you can't, because that's what the law says.
Correct. That's it. I mean, respect the law. You may not have to agree with it, but respect it. It's holiday season yet again. And I mean, you guys send out your newsletter to your members. For those, before we get into your advice in terms of driving, holiday driving, etc., for those people who aren't members of the AA, can they also still subscribe to your kind of newsletters? Or, I mean, what is the process now for a person to join the AA? How simple is it?
It is as simple as just getting onto a website.
Okay.
AA.co.za, and you can follow the prompts from there. Alternatively, look us up in the phone book and call us. It's as easy as that. Even on Facebook.
Okay.
Yeah. You know, so we've got the platforms to do it, and it's as I said, a good investment, especially when you need us.
Yeah. No,
and
that's for sure.
Unfortunately, Sasha, the newsletter does go out only to our member base. But there's nothing to stop you from forwarding it to your mates, I'm sure.
No, exactly. I've just got an interesting tweet here. Maybe you can comment on this. I've got an Edgar's and FNB credit card, and I benefit from basic service from AA via these cards.
Well, it's a basic service.
Yeah, but at least it's still a service.
You at least know that somebody's going to come and help you. The only difference would be that many of these are actually what we would call a pay-on-use type of basis. So nothing is free, whereas with us, most of our stuff is actually already part of the subscription.
Yeah.
So when Kate ran out of fuel, if she'd phoned us, we would have brought her some petrol for free.
You see? Yeah, now you know. You see, you got to know the benefits of the AA, Kate.
No, because I'm thinking I still need to pay you anyway, and I don't have my card, so it makes no difference.
We would have given you enough gas to get to the filling station.
Here we go.
Man, you see.
You know, I mean, listen, I've been a massive fan of the AA. As I say, I've nearly 25 years that I've been a member of the AA, and they've always come to my rescue when I have needed them. I want to throw this. I mean, it's a very broad question, Gary. Why should people join the AA? And yes, it's so simple, because if you do need something, we are going to be there. But what are the other parts that somebody should join the AA?
Okay, just to go back, we're talking safety. So 2010, we had according to the police, just over 1 million crashes recorded in South Africa.
Jeez, that's
So the
insane.
chances that you are going to need a tow truck at some point is pretty much 1 in 10 every single year. Now, you can decide not to be a member of the AA and not to get the benefit of towing and accident towing, but it is certainly one tow involving a crash, and of course the associated release fees, etc., would be 4 or 5 times what it would cost you on an annual subscription. So that's just one very, very good reason why.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, and there's so many other benefits besides the travel benefits and all the maps, and you're going to the AA stores, and well, listen, I could go on about it.
Yeah,
But
it's the legal advice. It's
Of
planning
course.
trips, your holidays, bookings, all that sort of stuff is covered, and it's free. Really, it's free.
And unlocking my car when
Yeah.
when I've locked my car keys, which I've done twice already. in the
You
last 2
clever
months.
girl. You clever girl. Gary, 2 points I want to go on. The first one is drinking and driving. And I must say, I live in Gauteng, in Johannesburg, and amongst the people that I socialize with, and also a lot of people, because I still go out and I'm out in nightclubs and pubs and that kind of stuff, I've seen a tremendous growth in responsibility. I've noticed. I still think we're very far behind, but I have seen people sitting and saying, you know what, we're going to get a cab, we're going to get a taxi, we're going to try and organize somebody that is not going to drink, and then that'll be our designated driver. But it's still a major problem throughout the whole country.
Sasha, it is. I mean, the RTMC reported that they arrested about 22,000 people last year for alcohol, for drunk driving. I think that number, bearing in mind the number of police that are out there, could be doubled with a little bit more effort. And certainly there are at least that many people that are out partying and driving afterwards irresponsibly. So the chances of being caught again, you've got to kind of weigh the odds against that. I'm kind of getting the same sort of feeling that particularly amongst the younger folk are also starting to pay attention to this and are being a lot more responsible. And I think probably because of the cost of insurance, and that the insurance companies are actually asking the questions now, and saying, if you've been in a crash, was there alcohol involved? And if there was, guess what? We're not paying.
Yeah.
So I think, and of course, the older folks setting the example. It's a good thing. Yeah. Good thing.
Well, listen, that's it, and just bear that in mind. Excuse me, it is a major issue that we do have in South Africa. Finally, Gary, holiday season. Any advice? People who are driving, I try and emphasize. Don't rush. You will get there. Be patient. Take your time. But I mean, from the AA's perspective, what is the best advice you can give to people who are going on the roads now?
Exactly what you've just said. Start your holiday the day before you leave. Make sure that your vehicle's obviously been serviced, or if it's not been serviced, at least when you go and fill up in the morning before you leave on your journey, check everything that can be checked: your tires, your spare wheel, water, oil, and all those sort of things, and make sure so that you know that you don't going to need to check those sort of things on your trip. And then the basic things is like every 2 hours or 200 kilometers roughly on anywhere of our major tourist routes, there will be a place that you can stop at, a filling station, etc. Make that stop. Get out your car, stretch your legs. If you've got kids in the car, you need to let them blow off a bit of steam as well. And not going to add significantly to the travel time, but it is going to make you more relaxed when you get to where you're going to be. And then, of course, apply the reverse thing when you're on your way back. We are expecting, of course, being winter, that it could well be that you are going to a destination where it's a bit wet or snowy. So one of the last things you do before you leave is just phone your point of destination and just make sure that the roads are still passable. And then let somebody know where you are on your trip and that you have arrived, because quite often folks forget about that, and then there's drama. and they don't even know where to start looking for you.
That is such a very, very good point. A lot of people, we just take it for granted that someone's arrived and everything's okay. One should always have nowadays, I mean, it's inexcusable with the technology that we have.
Precisely.
Yeah. Listen, just wanted to inform you a tweet that came in from Brav G, who says, only had good experiences with dealing with the AA, money well spent.
I am so glad to hear that.
That's really cool.
So glad to hear that.
Gary, it's great to catch up with you. I hope that we catch up with you more during the course of this year, just to talk about good things and, of course, more and more advice from the AA.
You're welcome anytime, Sasha, and thank you very much.
It's a pleasure. Great to speak to you. Take care.
Thanks so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Gears on bulls.co.za with Sasha Martinengo.
He's kept himself out of trouble.
Weekdays from 12 to 2 p.m. Central African Time.